Since I started earning money, I have never bought a luxury handbag. To date, the most expensive thing I have purchased is my car. I find that many young women today have problematic spending habits. Many people with a monthly income of 5,000 to 6,000 yuan spend 7,000 to 8,000 yuan on a handbag. Some people with a monthly salary of 10,000 yuan are willing to spend tens of thousands on a handbag. This phenomenon seems very abnormal to me. Previously, many people did not understand why there are so many low-income women in China who buy Chanel handbags. Although I am not particularly wealthy now, I stayed in a VIP hospital ward before having children. Some sisters comment that I have money, but I am not actually wealthy. It mainly depends on whether you think spending money is worthwhile or not. Many women travel around, buy various luxury goods, and frequently visit high-end places. But when they fall ill, they cannot even take out a single cent and have to borrow money everywhere. However, when buying a handbag, they can afford to pay in full. In fact, I have visited luxury goods stores several times, looked for a long time each time, and ultimately could not bring myself to buy because I felt it was not worth it. When I first earned a considerable amount of money, I really wanted to buy a handbag worth 10,000 yuan, but I resisted and saved the money. Later, I slowly saved up and eventually bought a Mercedes-Benz. When I drive the Mercedes-Benz, carrying a bag worth a few hundred yuan still looks very refined. If I were to spend tens of thousands of yuan, I would prefer to invest it in education, healthcare, or other investments. When your wealth accumulation is not yet sufficient to cross social classes, it is really important to save the money you earn. One day, you will be very grateful for your habit of saving.
说实话，我的金钱观和消费观在进入到大学末期到社会之后呢，就发生了较大的一个改变。
To be honest, my views on money and consumption have changed significantly by the end of university and after entering the workforce. I transitioned from hedonism to practicality. The main reason is probably because I started earning money, and every penny spent came from my own account, unlike before when I spent my parents' money. Back then, it felt like I spent my parents' money, so it didn't hurt as much. But as my own earnings gradually accumulated in my account, every expenditure felt like my heart was bleeding. Now I don't buy clothes or cosmetics, and aside from meals, I have very few other expenses. I rarely buy entertainment items, and I don't go out to play, travel, or have fun, which makes life seem a bit dull and monotonous. This consumption habit might differ from the lifestyle of young people in big cities and seems a bit like wasting youth. However, I think this might be a common phenomenon as people age. As I grow older, I start to feel anxious, scared, and worried about the future, especially since my parents are also getting older and approaching retirement age. I worry that if something happens at home, I won't have enough money and independence. Therefore, during the last 2 years of university and after graduation, I have been working hard to save money. Basically, apart from daily expenses like meals and occasional outings, I save all my money as reserve funds. Just like a female actress said, she works hard, saves money, and calls this money confidence funds. This means that with this money, she has the confidence to stand up and say I have confidence when someone mistreats or unfairly treats her. This concept has deeply influenced me. Although I envy my friends on social media who have the experience of attending concerts, traveling, going abroad, partying with friends, drinking, singing, and dancing, living a carefree and glamorous life, I comfort myself that although I don't go out to play, the joy brought by my accumulated wealth is unmatched by other pleasures. Therefore, I am currently working hard to save money. Even though sometimes I feel a little disappointed for not being able to buy nice clothes or live a more glamorous life, seeing the money in my bank account makes me feel satisfied and gratified. Perhaps I really enjoy money and the happiness of saving. This perspective has also influenced my friends. Whenever they spend money, I actively share my savings concept and encourage them to save money together so that everyone can have more wealth in the future.
在上海，月入5万女生的消费观是什么样的？
In Shanghai, what is the consumption perspective of a girl with a monthly income of 50,000 renminbi? I would rather take the subway than take a taxi. The starting fare for a taxi in Shanghai is 16 renminbi, and a 40-minute ride can cost over 100 RMB. Although the subway is a bit crowded and takes longer, isn't it appealing to pay just a few RMB for transportation? I do not blindly pursue excessively expensive luxury items. It's not that I can't afford them, but they are simply not worth it. I can now easily get a 20,000 renminbi bag or a pair of shoes costing over 10,000 renminbi, but if wearing them only serves to satisfy vanity, it's my wallet that suffers. My clothes are all purchased for a few dozen to several hundred RMB, with the most expensive pair of sneakers costing just 1,000 RMB. I buy skincare and makeup products that are right for me, not just expensive ones. For women, spending on these items cannot be skimped on, but I choose suitable products and compare prices before buying. In fact, my consumption perspective is not stingy. Making money is not easy, and the saved money should be used for more important things. After all, life is not meant to be lived for others' approval, it's about making oneself happy.
在沈阳月入10万加女生的消费观是什么样子的呢？
In Shenyang, what is the spending mentality of a woman earning 100,000 yuan per month? I sometimes make breakfast at home because it's not only economical but also healthier. My colleagues often work hard, so I frequently buy them coffee to boost their energy. Most of my clothes are purchased online. I care more about how they look rather than whether they are from a big brand. I don't have much desire for luxury items, just one or two high-end pieces occasionally, without being vain. It's not that I can't afford them, but every penny I earn is hard-earned, and I won't waste it. For skincare and cosmetics, I only buy what works for me, not what's expensive. I also save money regularly every month, otherwise, I really wouldn't feel secure. You might laugh, but sometimes I bring my own bags when shopping at the supermarket. Perhaps because I come from an ordinary family, saving has become a habit. It's not that I'm stingy, rather, every penny I earn is hard to come by, and the money I save, I prefer to invest in more meaningful things, such as starting a business or expanding a store, further education, and self-improvement. I regularly give money to my parents and dine with friends. Overall, I find that this spending mentality makes me very happy.
毕业5年了，我的消费观真的跟过山车一样。
It has been 5 years since graduation, and my spending habits have changed significantly. Now I buy clothes for a few dozen yuan, skincare products for a few hundred yuan, and even small trinkets for more than 20 yuan. In the past, I bought a cheap jacket, but others said it looked somewhat cheap. Back when I had just graduated, I had a strong vanity for luxury goods and purchased many high-end items. Now, I don't spend much on luxury brands, I focus more on practicality. I find that after turning 25, I pay more attention to substance. When buying clothes, I focus more on style rather than brand. For example, when I spend 2,000 or 5,000 yuan on a jacket, once I take a photo and post it on social media, it becomes old after the novelty wears off. Since women need to change clothes daily, I prefer buying clothes for a few dozen yuan. For accessories, I choose high-cost performance items like belts and glasses, which I think are less likely to go out of style and are versatile. My skincare products are also inexpensive but suitable for me. In the past, I used to buy lipsticks for 400 or 500 yuan, even 1,000 yuan, but I actually use the small mini lip balms the most. I also have an LV bag that has turned yellow, which is a testament to my vanity back then. I remember it was given to me by my older sister when I was in middle school. It was a gift from her boyfriend, which she passed on to me. Back then, I only knew about popular brands and thought that high-end brands were important. Now, I have become more practical. I consider what I really need, choose cost-effective products, and focus on what makes me happy. In fact, I am gradually changing. I used to think that using more expensive items could earn others' approval, but now I realize that true confidence and sincerity are what earn respect from others. This change is a mark of my growth.
我以前是一个很爱买衣服的人。
I used to be someone who loved buying clothes. I don't know if there are other women like me. Every time a new season came around, I would buy several outfits of different styles. But this year, I suddenly changed. I no longer have the urge to buy clothes. As of August, I've spent less than 200 yuan on clothes this year. If it were last year, I might have bought a lot of clothes, but this year my mindset has changed. I feel that buying so many clothes is unnecessary because I have many items in my closet that I've only worn once and never again. Now, when buying clothes, I focus more on practicality. I prefer to spend money on more important things. I certainly wouldn't buy a bunch of clothes now, and some clothes might not even be worn once before being left aside.
Why have young women who once spent extravagantly suddenly become frugal? Recently, there has been widespread discussion about young women's downgrade in consumption. In reality, it's not as simple as the media portrays. Young women often joke that their downgrade in consumption is due to being poor and lacking money to spend. However, the change in their consumption habits is not solely due to economic difficulties. Previously, online standards for flaunting wealth included luxury cars, mansions, and luxury goods. This created a culture of conspicuous consumption, where people would spend excessively to compete with others, leading some to buy expensive clothes and bags on credit and to rely on taxis and takeout as part of their daily routine. Although this way of spending helped them avoid the mundane worries of daily life, it also led to spending levels far exceeding their income, making it unsustainable. Today, with the increasingly severe employment environment, it has become harder to sustain spending that overextends future income. Many people have to return to their original level of consumption, learn financial management, and balance rent and living costs. As a result, more young women are choosing to be frugal and even becoming fond of market goods and wholesale-priced products. Surveys show that currently, 48% of people buying near-expiry foods in China are aged between 26 and 35. This reflects that some young people have become more savvy, finding that products with minor imperfections are cheaper and viewing this practice as a way to combat consumerism. In short, it's about buying the most suitable items at the lowest price rather than pursuing the most expensive options and avoiding paying extra for a premium. Upon closer observation, most young women have reduced unnecessary spending but have not lowered their quality of life. They no longer blindly compare themselves to others but live according to their actual consumption capacity, increasingly pursuing cost-effectiveness and inner needs. This is a positive trend, and new ways of consumption may emerge in the future, which will test various businesses. So, do you think the downgrade in consumption among young women in China is a compromise due to life circumstances or a rational response after recognizing their consumption capacity?